gas prices could be increasing. Find out how and if it affects you.
Top 10 hits? See if your favorite made it to the top this week.
And a flying Bob Ross? See how amusement parks are testing the safety for your favorite rides.
I'm Cole Richardson.
And I'm Allie Jo Owens.
We have so much in store for you next coming up on NHSTV Live.
A cyber attack on a critical U.S. pipeline is sending ripple effects across the economy, highlighting cybersecurity vulnerabilities and the nation's aging energy infrastructure. The Colonial pipeline, which delivers about 45% of the fuel used along the eastern seaboard, shut down last Friday after a ransomware attack by a gang of criminal hackers that calls itself DarkSide. Colonial Pipeline halted all operations over the weekend. Colonial said it's likely to restore the service on the majority of its pipeline by this Friday. There's no imminent shortfall, so there's no need to panic buy gasoline. The average gasoline price jumped 8 cents, making it $2.98, and it's expected to continue climbing because of the pipeline closure, according to AAA. An epidemic ransomware attacks have gotten so bad that Biden administration officials recently deemed them a national security threat. We will keep you updated as we learn more. There's no imminent shortfall, so there's no need to panic buy gasoline. The average gasoline price jumped 8 cents, making it $2.98, and it's expected to continue to climb because of the pipeline closure, according to AAA. An epidemic of ransomware attacks has gotten so bad that Biden administration officials recently deemed them a national security threat. We will keep you updated as we learn more.
I know my wallet is feeling the gas increase, but some other news. Do you have any favorite authors? Well, maybe one of them is closer than you think. We had members from the Literary Faction Club come into studio as they gave us some details on how the club published their own book and even a potential series.
Thank you, Texans. I'm here with Daniela and Mrs. Nettleton from the Literary Faction, and I heard recently that you guys have just released a new book about a month ago. It's called The Voices of NHS. Oh my gosh, it's like real. It's crazy.
Yeah, we've spent the past 3 years working on this, and it's just crazy to finally have everyone's stories all together because we've been getting submissions for a very long time.
Exactly.
So.
It's taken this long to figure out how to do it. And now that we know how to do it, we're ready to do some more. But this has been an exciting journey
very
for
much
us.
so, yes.
And especially with you being the author and you being the sponsor, how did it feel like mixing your own stories and other students into one full book and it's actually real and everything?
It's insane. I've always wanted to be a novelist or an author, and so when I had the first copy in my hands, I was like, oh my God, it's here, it's finally here, whoa, just crazy.
And exactly, and you guys can literally buy this book too. I heard it's $15 or $10 depending on where you buy it. So where can you get it?
Well, if you come to me, 2310, or find my email, you can email me. We are ordering these books, and they're $10 a piece at the school. That leaves us with a little bit of fundraiser for the club, but at the same time, it's a little less expensive for our students. Also, I have a lot of students that are in here. You can get these for your parents too. If your parents want to order them online, you can order them from Amazon.com. It does cost $15 at Amazon.com because they get some of the royalties.
So you're saying you want to go to the room 2310 to get the good deal for $10, not the 15? Exactly.
But it's okay if Amazon gets them because it's all Amazon is how we got this out. So we did this by Kindle Create, and it is our heart to help our students know they have a voice.
The purpose of this book is to give every student a voice creatively because I feel like a lot of students have that passion for just creative expression, and so by releasing this, it gives every student the opportunity to have their written work somewhere in the world.
And exactly, and I don't think people are going to miss out because I heard this book is going to be in a series as well.
Yes.
This is just volume 1, and you guys are going to try to recruit new members?
Right.
How can some people try to apply for the club?
So you can always show up to the meetings. It's in room 2310 every Wednesday during Invest. And we're still accepting submissions for the second volume of the book, but,
And keep your ears open because I might just have another contest before the end of this year.
Well, thank you, Ms. Nettleton. And if Texans, if you want to get this book, it's on $15 on Amazon and room 2310, $10 for Ms. Nettleton. If you guys want to join in and try, make part of the book with yourself as well, you can email justine.nettleton@nistx.org to help join the club, or just go to room 2, 2310. Well, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much, Texans.
Once again, students, the literary faction, and creative writing students are putting together the second volume of The Voices of NHS. Students and staff, if you have any uplifting or inspiring stories, poems, songs, or plays, we want to hear from you. They're accepting entries for submission until May 14th. Just email Ms. Nettleton at justine.nettleton@nisttx.org or stop by room 2310 for more information.
Now, speaking of uplifting stories, this month is AAPI Month. And for those of you who don't know, it stands for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage. During this month, we uplift the Asian American and Pacific Islander Americans with not only acceptance, but also how their heritage played a role in our history. I'm about to share with you not only the history of AAPI Month, but also why it's important.
Did you know that out of 28 million people in Texas, only 5.2% are Asian and only 0.1% are Pacific Islander? At Northwest High School, 2.4% of our school population is Asian and 0.36% are Pacific Islanders. So it's no surprise that the conversation of Pacific Islander and Asian American history is not talked about or heard about much due to the lack of representation in our state and our district.
Now, it's not only important for us as people, but us as Americans as well to understand their culture and their history. Native Americans, African Americans, Caucasian Americans, Hispanic Americans, as well as many different other ethnicities help build the foundation of this country. But it's important this month to recognize Pacific Islander and Asian Americans for what they did. They not only built the foundation of this country with their hard work, hard labor, and long hours, but they were also fighting for their rights as well. AAPI Month was first introduced on May 7th in 1943 to mark the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad on May 10th, 1869, which was built by a majority of Chinese immigrants. In fact, it was reported to be almost 20,000 Asian immigrants. Shifting our focus to the things Asian Americans did for this country, and not only for this country, but also Texas as well. A big one being Larry Itliong. He migrated to America back in 1929, then created the Farmer Labor Union, which encouraged protesting and strikes for farmers in 1956, which at the end of the day was responsible for higher wages and more rights that are still in place for farmers today. Even now, something you may or may not watch every day, YouTube, was developed by Asian American Stephen Chen. Now, it's important to know all the things Asian Americans did for our country, but it's also important for us to reflect on all the things they had to do to get here. Moving throughout our history, there has been many revolutions advocating the rights for Pacific Islanders and Asian Americans. Things like the Asian American movement in the 60s and 70s. Even to today, you would think after things like Black Lives Matter movement being a hot topic, active racism would calm down. But for the Asian American community, it has been quite the contrary. Hate crimes in America have actually gone down by 6% since the pandemic started, while anti-Asian hate crimes have gone up by 145%. So if you think AAPI Month isn't important, if you think that Pacific Islander and Asian American history is simply not relevant to American history, if you think America could thrive without Pacific Islanders and Asian Americans, you'd simply be wrong. We often divide Pacific Islander Americans and Asian Americans from the word American simply because of their ethnicity. But without them, there would be no America. From NHSTV, this has been Cole Richardson.